welcome to Pilates in Parramatta. We're going to be doing some more floor exercises to do with balance this time, as well as strength through the arches of the feet. It's very important to make sure you're stretching your feet out beforehand. I've just been doing a few of these stretches while Samantha's been very kindly setting up the camera for us and getting very angry at me because I want head, but I want feet too. So it's very complicated. All right, saying thank you to Samantha for being our guinea pig. She's going to show you the straight on version and I'm going to show you side on version so that you can see what your feet need to be doing throughout these exercises from all angles. If you have a long mirror, one of those ones that's transportable around the room, and you can set it up next to you or in front of you so that you can see what your feet are doing. It's very important because the angles that your feet go when you rise up and come down again are very, very important to make sure that they're doing the right thing. These are our bars. Just a dining chair, any old chair you can do. If you have a mantelpiece, you can hang onto a mantelpiece. Just be sure that our chairs, when you sit in them, they squeak. So we will know very, very easily if we end up putting too much weight on our chairs because it will squeak at us. So the idea of having the chairs here is just to help you maintain balance, but not to white knuckle and hang on for grim death. Okay? All right. Welcome to Samantha. She's going to now turn her back on you. Feet together, stand away from the chair. So when you're setting yourself up for this, you want your arms practically straight, not quite. All right. Now the angle of the camera is such that Samantha actually looks like she's got a bigger arch in her back than she has. I'm going to get her to really focus on tucking and holding, but it does look like she has a bigger arch. If she just turns around and holds that position, you can see the arch that she's got is minimal. So as long as she doesn't end up doing this, yeah, okay, making sure she's holding herself nicely through the stomach as she's doing these things. Okay, feet and knees together. That's it. You've started off by doing the forefoot stretches over on the side, those ones on the little toe and on the big toe, and you can do some of your feet exercises as well, although you can also replace your feet exercises on a day when you want to do something different and you do these ones instead. Okay, now make sure your toes are spread on the floor and nice and flat, and the heels are going to stay together. Now if that means, and Samantha and I both have very big ankle bones and they stick out past our heels. So when we have our heels together, our ankle bones rub on each other and that's very, very painful. As long as you're holding your arches up, if that is happening, let your feet turn out a fraction. You do want to still keep your heels together. It's very important. Okay, keeping the knees nice and straight, stomach in, armpits towards the hips as usual, and the crown of the head. Samantha's got a nice high ponytail which is going to reach for the ceiling, so she's lengthening in both directions as far as possible. I want her to rise up onto the balls of her feet, so going up, keeping the knees nice and straight, feeling the little toes spread to push the heels together all the time, and then back down again. And once she gets down, I want her then to bend and straighten and pressing up, heels together, big toes pushing right up as high as you can, and then heels down and then bend. For dancers in the group, this is called a rise to Demi point, spreading the toes, weights on the toes, make sure it's on the big toe, and lower and plie and straighten. That's it, and keep going. Rise and lower and plie and straighten. And rise, make sure your little toes are on the floor, heels together, stomach is in, and lower and plie and straighten. And rise, up you go. If you can do it without holding on, do. And lower and plie and straighten. 3 more. Rise and lower plie and straighten. Check that you've got your heels together, squeeze them together hard, stomach pulled right in, knees straight, and down, and bend, straighten, and knees straight, keep them straight, toes spread really well, and down, and bend, and straight. Give your feet a flick. Okay, now we're going to do an exercise once we're up there. So you're going to do a rise, then you're going to bend your knees, straighten, and then come down. So same position, make sure you're far enough away from your bar that you're holding on to, because otherwise when you go to bend your knees, you'll kneecap the chair, which you don't want to do. Okay, not too turned out, keep it relatively, yeah, she's doing the ballet dancer, unfortunately. So here, knees nice and straight, really work. Now when you think rise, it's hard work to think lift my heels. If you think push the flats of my toes into the floor down, as if you're digging a ditch through the hole, it works your muscles just as well. So, and rising up, press down through the toes. Now you're going to hold that high, put a bend in your knees, take the heels over with you, then try and keep the heels there as you straighten, right up, you should feel it through the calves, and heels down, and bend, and rise, heels together as much as possible, get to where you were before, then plie, take the heels with you, right over the toes, you will lose your heel connection, and up, try and keep them over, good, and get the heels together as you come down, that, down, good, and go up, right up, 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 heels, little toes spread, and plie, take the heels over with you, keep on the big toes, don't sickle, and up, and heels together, good, and plie, right, and think, dig a ditch with the toes, and plie, take the heels forward, bring them right over your big toes, and right up, and heels down, and plie, and from side on, rise up, and take the heels with you, and straighten up, try and keep the heels forward, and down, and I will get Samantha to do one incorrectly, rise up as far as you can. Now, this time when you plie, let your ankles drop open, and plie. See how her ankles have gone sideways. Get right over the big toe. Excellent. And push forward and up. And down. And I'll show you from the side. So rising up. And when you plie, don't leave your heels behind like I just did. Get the heels right over. And straighten up. And down. And rise. And plie, take the heels with you, go onto your big toes.
Oh,
and up, and down. One more. And rise, and over. And ankles in more. Yep. And down. Now, do a plie, bend. Now, take your weight onto one leg and bend further. And then weight across to the other leg and bend further. Yep, and then give yourself a shake. Okay, that's for working through the muscles of the feet. It works the calves. You'll also feel it work up through the outside of the calf. That's the stabilizer we were talking about beforehand in the feet exercises. And that one's very important as far as going over on your feet. Okay, what we're going to do next is I want Samantha up on her Demi point, so she's going to be in that rise position with the feet as close together as possible. So rise up. Now get your feet together. So walk them together. All right, heels staying together. Now stomach is on, knees straight. Really lock the knees down. Good. Stomach in, nice and tall. Now she's going to lift one foot without letting the other heel go down. So just flex the foot up and down and get back over. And then other side, flex and down, get back over, and other side, flex and down, get over and flex as high as you can. Flex and down. Stay right up. Flex and down. I apologize for the cracking feet and ankles. Those of you who come to the studio know that's just me. And down. Now, make sure you're still up as high as you can. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Tucking, stomach on. Don't over tuck. Don't do this. Okay? It's just making sure that you're working through the stomach to hold yourself still. Make sure your inside thighs are working to hold those feet together and the knees together. And flex and down and flex and down and flex and down. Now stay there. Hoik your heels up that little bit higher just to make sure. And down and bend the knees and go over on one foot. Yes, you can if you want to. Put one foot behind you and just press into that calf stretch as well if you want to do it that way. Yeah, okay. You can do it as a bent leg or a straight leg stretch. Samantha, can you just show the straight leg one? So that will give you more muscle of the calf stretch. And if you do it with bend in the knee, it comes down into the soleus instead. Okay? All right. Very important to stretch them out once you've been using them. Okay. Now, slightly different again, up and down again. By now your feet should be relatively warm if you've been putting as much effort into these as you possibly can. So, back into that position again. All right. This time what you're going to do is put all your weight on one leg. The other foot is going to be sitting pointed, I'll show you on that leg so you can see, right just above the toe, above the ankle bone, in parallel if possible. Make sure you're not sickling your foot. So by sickling the foot I mean if your ankle is doing that. Make sure your heel is up against the side of your calf, the toe is really touching, and squeeze together, because when you squeeze together that inside thigh is working nicely. Alright, you're going up and down on the one leg. Alright, stomach is on. And spreading the toes, press the big toe into the floor, and down, plie, and up, and down, and plie, and up, and down. Can you see how the foot's just staying with us? All right, up, and down, and bend. So this foot is glued to the other leg. It doesn't move. So I'm not lifting the foot as I'm going up. And down, and that's number 6. And switch sides. Foot down, other side, glue. Okay, point the foot nice and strongly. The calf on this other leg should be working in trying to hold that point. All right, stomach is on, and up, and down, and plie. Straighten, and up, and down, and plie. Good. Make sure the stomach is on, knees straight, and down. The cheat on this one is you will bend your knee to go up. Okay, which you don't want to do.
Too hard on you.
Yeah, or leaning forward and down. That doesn't require any foot strength at all, any calf strength. And last one, up. Should be able to almost let go. And down. Okay. Now, stretching the calves out again. Poor Samantha's got a ballet lesson after this, so she's two ballet lessons. So her feet and calves will be nicely warmed up. She should be able to stay on her point shoes very, very easily after today. Okay, now what we have to do with this next one is I'm going to get Samantha to do it so that you can see what happens with this one. Facing that way again. Feet and knees roughly together. I'm going to ask Samantha as little as possible to use the chair. So she's got 2 fingers on the chair and that's it. Stomach is on, knees straight. Okay. Now, I want her, you can see from the line in her pants where her center of gravity is. It's right between the heels, which is where it should be. Over the arches though, so you want the weight forward of the heels. Make sure that your toes are down. This is a spongy mat. You can do it on your workout mat if you want to. You can also do it, just order one of these. We got it on the internet, online. I think it was $23, something like that. There are very expensive ones. They're over $40, $50 worth. You don't need them. The $23 one is fine. Now, we're going to balance, and by balancing I mean we're going to be taking one foot off the floor completely into the same position that we were just holding for that other exercise. Okay, now when you go to lift one leg, your body's first thing it's going to want to do is to put all the weight on the heels. Okay, you don't want to do that. If you put your weight on the heels, you're going to fall backwards. It's not far to fall. If you do fall with this one, let's face it, just put the other foot down and you're there. Okay, hang on to the chair. If you're worried that the chair is going to fall over, put a few books on the chair to hold it down and you'll be fine. All right, so the first thing we have to do is, if Samantha lifts one leg just as she is, if she lifts this leg, her center of gravity is still going to be over the middle and she will fall on top of me, as simple as that. So we can't do that. So knees nice and straight, stomach working hard, squeeze the legs together as hard as you can, and then she's going to take her center and put it over there. So she's going to move her center with her hip so that it goes over the other leg. Then she's just going to pick this foot up and place it there, glue as hard as she can. All right, now feet down, all the toes pushing into the floor, particularly the big toe. It's not going to want to, and the little toe. So if you push the big toe down, your little toe will come up. If you push your little toe down, the big toe will come up. So you need both big and little toes down. And she's just holding it while she's breathing. Okay? If she can, she's going to take her hands off the chair completely, which would be lovely. Okay. There will be wobbles that are happening. You can see Samantha's ankle is wobbling, and that's perfect. Her proprioceptors, the muscles are juggling. I've got too much weight here, I need to put more there, I'll put more there, and that sort of maneuvering is what you're teaching your body to do, to how to adjust to these things. If you overcompensate, you will fall. If you don't compensate at all, you will fall. So this minor little fidgeting and adjusting that the ankle is doing is perfect. It means that Samantha's body is giving her feedback on what the surface and how her foot is behaving to the surface. Okay, hands back on the chair. Put the foot back down. Check that you're lined up, and sometimes you will have to look down to make sure that your feet are even, because it's very easy to have one foot slightly in front of the other one accidentally. All right, make sure your toes are spread on this foot, and check Samantha's big toe. I know her big toe on her right foot doesn't like doing the right thing. So weight across to me, that's it, stomach is on, foot, glue. Spread the toes, big toe down, get the length of the big toe down, get the little toe down. Holding it while she's keeping breathing. There's no set breathing for any of these feet exercises. I would suggest that whatever movement you find the hardest, that's probably the best place to put an out breath. So if you find going up on top, the ball of the foot is the hardest thing to do, breathe out to do it. So to get there. If you find that the lowering without your knees bending is hardest to do, then breathe out there. So make your out breath happen where you need the most amount of control. Okay? Fingers off, making sure that she's holding her balance still. That's good. That's the way, checking. Also, very, very early on in our first stretch session that we did, we were talking about having a balance point. Make sure your eyes are looking at something that is not moving. Slightly ahead of you, it can be slightly down or slightly up or slightly straight ahead or directly straight ahead. Just make sure if you're looking up or straight ahead, it's nowhere where somebody's going to walk past, because if they go walking past that spotting position of yours, you will wobble. Okay? Okay, hands back on and foot back down. All right. Now, we're going to do exactly the same thing with the hands off, and this time she's going to put a tiny bend in the standing knee. So get your balance, weight forward, toes spread, shift your weight to one side, take the other foot, stomach in, don't sink into the hip. That's it. And then bending this knee and straightening. and bending and straightening, making sure the pelvis is staying really still because the stomach is strongly in. Bend and straighten. Not too fast. Think of your little toe as well as your big toe. If you can, take the hands off. Excellent. Samantha's got a good spotting position working for her here. It's really good. Stomach working. If you feel yourself overbalancing, stop that moment, get your balance back, and then go back into bending and straightening. One more. Straighten, hands in place, and then foot down. With any of these, don't come out of it going, oh, I made it. Okay? Control the exit from the movement as much as you're controlling the entrance of the movement. For those of you that can hear it, it just started raining here. I apologise if it's coming over. Okay, get those toes spread. Get that little toe down. Doesn't move. That's the way.
I can't focus on both of them at the same time on this side. It doesn't want to do it.
She's having trouble. Stomach on. That's it. Think every time you bend, try and stay long with your body. Don't let your body bend into it. Make sure your body is staying really tall. That's it. She's taken her hands off, which is really good. Don't speed up. That's the way. Point the foot nice and hard. Squeeze it against the other leg. That will help your inside thighs. Inside thighs are part of your pelvic stabilization. Very important. The other thing you have to be incredibly careful with this one is that the knee that you're bending is going directly over the toes of the same foot. Okay, so bending and straightening. Hang on for a minute, darling. And coming up. Now, do one badly, so make your knee roll right in. See how that's gone right out of the way? Now, go down. Now, correct. Turn it over the foot. Yeah. Okay, very important to keep your alignment with any of these bending exercises. And you'll notice it's not a huge bend. It's just down a bit and back up again. It's just to get the balance going. That's the way. Put a strong point in that other foot. I want to see the crinkles in the arch. That's the way. And hands on. And foot down. Okay. You will definitely need to do some calf stretches after this. There's a couple of ways you can do them. Hop off. Now, can you show side on to the camera the straight-legged calf stretch for me? That's it. Bring the other foot forward. That's it. Put both hands here and really press down, making sure she's tucking to hold that position. And that will give a lovely straight leg calf stretch. Then what you can do is put a little bend in the knee and try and re-press the heel to the floor, and that will give you a stretch through there. Okay. Try and make sure that, again, your foot and your knee are in the same alignment, that you're not letting your knee roll in. That's the way. And other leg. That's it. Straight leg calf, your leg can go further back. And it doesn't matter if your heel is off, as long as you're trying to push it down. It's the pushing of it down with the tucking action that gives you the stretch. Really make sure that knee is nice and straight, because that will help you get the stretch as well. And then bring it in and bend the knee, still tuck. Don't let yourself lose the tuck. That's it. Make sure the knee's over the toe. Now there's also another way of doing these calf stretches. Those of you who are more flexible and don't have knee problems will be able to do this. Can you just get down on your knees, side onto the camera, and come back a little bit so people can see your feet. So in this position. Okay, take this foot and she's going to put it there. That's it. Now hands are forward. Try and keep the heel down as you push over, and pushing the heel down while you're trying. Your weight is trying to lift the heel off by pushing the knee forward. Your heel and your foot is trying to keep that heel down on the ground. So you should be getting the stretch through this bottom foot. Some people will feel it in their arch as well, and that's fine if you do. Obviously, if you have trouble kneeling, this is not a position. Do it in the other position. Okay, you just hold that for a while and then switch legs. Make sure your foot goes right next to the other thigh. So don't go forward for a minute, Samantha, just stay back. So the foot has to be in close to the other thigh like that. Don't have it out here. Okay, off you go. And down. So she's trying to stay seated while her chest is trying to push the knee forward, and her body, she's trying to aim her heel for the ground at the same time. Those of you who have stairs at home, in the studio, you know we've got the upturned wobble board, and people stand on the wobble board with one foot and press the heel down. Make sure you're hanging onto banisters or walls or whatever's closest, but you can do that on stairs. I suggest if they're external stairs and they're concrete, make sure you've got runners on, because it will dig into the ball of your foot, okay? The further forward your foot is on the step, the less stretch you're going to get. So if the stretch is too strong, make sure you bring your foot a little bit further forward. If the stretch is not enough, bring it back a little bit, okay? You can also do that one where you're pressing down on the ball of the foot and getting the stretch in the calf. So, pressing down on the heel over the step and getting the stretch in the calf. And then you can rock your weight onto the big toe and you'll get a little bit of a different stretch. Rock your weight onto the little toe and it will be different again. But make sure you finish with that center stretch, okay? The other stretch you can do is one that Samantha did the other day in the stretches. Legs out in front, bend one knee out of the way. No, as you flip it out. Grab hold of this foot with the heel of your hand around the toes and pulling back, really bending into that elbow. Try and keep the knee straight. And same thing with this. If you put more pull on the little toe, you'll get a different feeling to pull more pull on the big toe side. And then pull in the center. It's a very good arm exercise. Anchor your armpit like she is. Check the other side. Okay, stomach is in still, of course, because it's always in. And other leg. That's it. This, of course, works if your hamstrings are long enough. Hang on, wriggle back a bit. You're off camera. There we go. This will work if your hamstrings are long enough to actually grab your foot. If they're not, you won't be able to. Check the little toe, pull more on the little toe, so spin it, and then spin the other way, and then center. And then for those of you who can, heel, and then bend so that you're pulling your toes back as well, because that might even give you a stretch in the arch of the foot, which is very good. Okay, while Samantha finishes that one, thank you very, very much for joining us. Be careful with the exercises. The first time you do them, they can be quite strong. Make sure of your alignment all the time. Heels together when necessary. Make sure your knees are always aiming directly over the gap between your big and second toe. And always when you're up on the toes, on the balls of the foot like that, make sure all of your weight or most of your weight is on your big toe with your little toes spread. So don't just go over your big toe and lift your little toes off. Your little toes need to be on the ground, spreading nice and strongly. Okay, thank you Samantha for being guinea pig, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.